sometimes haraka kuna, but anyway, we are right here. And, besides this, as you can see the background, there's the ISIFA Investment Conference, annual conference that is happening right here in Mombasa at Pride Inn. And, one of the key guests that was speaking here, her name is Pauline, is an amazing person and is very passionate about businesses, speaks a lot about, leadership, customer service, even marketing. So she's an expert when it comes to matters advising businesses in these particular areas. And I told her, could you spare some few minutes and, speak with us, just enlighten SMEs on what we could do as well to even become better. And she agreed. And so she's right here on the show. Pauline, it's good to have you.
Good to have you too. Thank you, and I'm glad to be in this show
Absolutely,
today.
absolutely. Indeed, just before we even get and delve into that, I don't know whether I covered the entire scope of what you do, but probably just for the viewers to understand your background and what you major on in just about 20 seconds.
All right, thank you. So my name is Pauline, and I'm a business expert, I would say that. My background is in the investment world, and because of that, I got to interact with a lot of business people, both in SME and also in mature business, and I drew that interest in using my experience and competence to help businesses grow. From which perspectives, number one, I believe that a customer is the key person in our business. He's the boss. We say that he can fire anyone, from the chairman to everybody else in the company. So I'm very passionate about helping people understand the place of the customer in the business, the place of marketing, and the value of leadership, because it's a loop and it's a whole system that all have to go together.
Yeah, and even when you speak, it sounds like these are pillars that really matter in any business that is going. Whether you're even a sole person, there must be leadership within yourself so that at least you can grow. But let's just talk about a bit of some of the two areas you've mentioned, the relationship between customer service and marketing. Because people may dwell on one, and they seem like you need both. I don't know, what is that relationship and probably what do we need to do?
Yes, the two have to go together.
They have to go together.
They have to go together.
Absolutely.
Now, for marketing, remember it is the activities that we put together to be able to attract, to create awareness, number one, to our clients, whether it's the prospective or the existing customers. Now, once we create that awareness, then we create also the interest. We are interesting people with what we do. And the outcome that we are looking to get out of that is that they will be able to take action and uptake either our products or our services. Now, these people that we are targeting, we are netting out there, are coming into the organization to interact with our customer service, the people who are dealing with customer service. So yes, marketing has to be done. We are creating awareness to cause an action, but who is implementing the action? Our customer service. So customer service and marketing have to work together. They cannot be worked on as two separate entities. We need to take care of this customer that the marketing campaigns are targeting out there.
Most businesses assume I'm doing well, my customers are here, and some feel like their customers are going. Nowadays it's more like cutthroat, where people will wake up and say, people came, did undercuts, took my customers and the likes. But I've also seen businesses that charge premium and customers don't go. I mean, somebody is charging half the price for almost a similar, work or anything of that sort, but customers stick there. And let's bring it down. A saloonist, a kinyozi, who, has solid customers that never leave, and probably he charges a premium, maybe 1,000 bob for a shave, and somebody else is 500. The same hair will go, but they will stick to the 1,000. There must be a secret. And I want you to help us understand what is it that they're doing to maintain such customers, because as you have said rightfully, the heart of a business growth is the people and its customers. So I would like to know, what are the secrets we can give our business people?
All right. What is the goal? You need to ask ourselves, what's the goal and the purpose of customer service and marketing? One of the key things is that customer service is a great driver an enabler
Yeah.
of loyalty, customer loyalty,
Yeah.
and retention. We say that when we are excellent in our customer service,
Yeah.
it helps our businesses in 2 ways, or in 3 ways actually.
Mhm.
Number one is that it helps us in cutting costs,
Yeah.
managing costs. How does it help us in managing costs?
Uh-huh.
Number one is that when service is excellent, you really don't have to do a lot of, you don't have to put in a lot of resources in doing your marketing campaigns or even managing the risk of reputation because of bad service and such kind of things. So you're able to manage your cost and you free some cash. So what does that mean? You'll use this cash to do other business activities that will help in revenue growth. And that takes me to my second goal or purpose of great customer service, revenue growth. So once your customers are well taken care of, there is a customer loyalty, there is retention, your cost of churn and acquisition then goes down. So the churn in terms of customers leaving the business is reduced. Why? Because there's loyalty
Yeah.
already that has been created. And what happens at the end of the day, the shareholders' value go up. So the owner of the business is able to have more revenues, a better return in their pocket. Now, to your kinyozi or my salonist.
Yeah.
Yes. So back to the purpose and the goals of customer service. So they've been able to create this customer loyalty, and it has led to client retention. And with this client retention, they've been able to grow the revenues and the business is stable.
Yeah.
So they do every initiative to personalize the business, personalize service. And how do you personalize service? Is by meeting and exceeding the customer needs. How do you do that?
I think that's why we take a pause, because how do you personalize customer service? By meeting and exceeding customer expectations. That's what
Yes,
you say.
customer
I mean,
expectation.
that's the quote for you. Meet and exceed the customer expectation. So you have to just go a step ahead,
Yes.
not just the mere one.
Not just the mere one.
I like that.
And how do you do that? One, you need to be very proactive as a business owner. Most of the times, I think what happens is we are very reactive.
Yeah.
And why are we reactive? Because the place of customer experience, we are talking about customer service.
Yeah.
So customer service is the interaction that a client has from the awareness, then they get the interest, then they come and do the transaction with you. So it's very transactional.
Oh, yeah.
But there's the experience part. And this is what keeps myself going back to my salonist. What is this experience?
What's that?
Yes. So my salonist knows that I usually do my hair maybe after 2 weeks. So before the 2 weeks are over, she's already contacted me and reminded me, you have a hair appointment or a nail appointment on this day. By the time I'm getting there, I am received with, like a cup of tea or whatever.
Coffee or something. I've
juice.
seen that happen. some
Yes. Now, it doesn't mean that every business will be able to offer that,
Yeah.
but in your own unique way, depending on the demographics of your clients, you're able to know, proactively what excites my customer, what delights my customer,
Yeah.
and walk in that customer journey by offering proactively. They don't have to wait for it. Remember, we are saying, I've already been sent a text or a call to be reminded. So
Yeah.
be proactive, have a proactive activities that are, sometimes I'm not even ready to go for the appointment, but I've been reminded.
Absolutely. No, and I love that, and I'm trying to think of brands sometimes that have what I think is excellent customer service and what I think is, and we don't want to bash brands here. We may not be able to point out bad customer service, but honestly, if they're not proactive, as you've said, and the experience is not as good, because I'm thinking, let me just give my personal example. I have 2 places to go for a shave. And the reason why I started moving to the second place, because you can't have 2 places, and somebody just moves to another place. It's because when I go there, they serve me just that cup of tea. Just that. It's as simple as that, and I feel, this is quite appreciative, you know, as you have said. So experiences is what can you do that extra thing to satisfy that customer. I like that. I like that. And I hope you're taking your notes because I am. Now let's talk about, you know, how you would rate businesses with good, excellent customer service. How do you rate that? You know, so sometimes I'm saying, good.
Many things.
Yeah.
Number one is convenience. How are you offering convenience to your customers? Convenience in terms of even being able to reach your business. So how many channels of communication do you have that a customer can be able to get into, to get in touch with you? You know, nowadays we have very many omni-channels that, you know, you can either reach through a call, you can email, there are very many ways that you can be able to reach. So the convenience of that and the ease of doing business.
Yeah.
So how easy is it for me to do a transaction with you? Even for the small business person, how easy is it for me to make a payment or to receive a payment from you? So the ease, the convenience, and again we go back into the connection, you know, the experience, empathy, even when things go wrong, because things will sometimes go wrong in business, even with the businesses with good, excellent customer service. How do you respond to that? How do you give that back? How do you get the feedback again from your customers and use that feedback to be able to improve yourself? So even what are the channels that as a consumer I will use to be able to give even my feedback? Or how does a business come to me as a consumer to get feedback from me to be able, for them to be able to improve on their customer service? I mean, those are things that will tell me these people are serious with me. You know, they really want me to be part of them and they want me to continue doing business. What does that make me do? Key thing is, one, including the loyalty, the retention. If they have other products or services that maybe I have never had an interest, and they interest me at some point, I'll be able to consume them. So we get the upselling and the cross-selling. So perhaps when I go to the salon, they have you know, jewelries around there, and maybe it's something that I'd never thought about. But because I am so loyal to this business, they've been offering me the best service. If they interest me with an extra product within the business, I'll be able to take it up.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think those are very key insights. You know, as you're speaking, I'm also thinking, this is how we have rated it, and you can see these are clear parameters that you can tick in and say, yes, I'm doing my best. But one of the key questions that I had thought of asking you is, some people are merely not supposed to be at the front desk. And forgive me for putting it that way, because attitudes, I don't know even if they try, whether they need to go through thorough training, and some people don't sweat about it. It's like you, that you have a smile constantly and the likes. And I think behind the scenes you told me when you're young, in your starting years, you are the front desk. That means, you know, that's where the organization culture is really read at. Nowadays, even from the gate. But, you know, ideally the front desk is what would make someone feel, I love this place, or something of that sort. So the question is, can people be good at this particular one, or is this something that can be learned? Is it innate? That's the kind of question I'm asking. Is it for everybody, especially because customer service, we're saying, is very critical? What's your opinion on this?
A very good question. I am a firm believer that you can always unlearn and learn and relearn.
I love that.
Yes. So it may not necessarily be that there are people born with it. Yes, there are people born with it. But even those who are not born with it can always be trained, can always be skilled. Remember, we are saying is about the attitudes and the mindset.
Yeah.
this is something that we can be able to train people on.
Mhm.
How do we do that? Number one is acknowledging I am not good, because one of the key skills in customer service is patience
Yeah.
and resilience.
Absolutely.
Because you'll come across all different types of people.
Mhm.
You will deal with people who's, they're very erratic and they may just pour all their frustrations on you, especially being on the front desk.
Mhm.
However, once you acknowledge and know this is my personality, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses.
Mhm.
Now, as a client-facing person,
Yeah.
pick on the weaknesses.
Okay.
So I am not very patient. It runs out. I get sparked and it runs out very fast.
Yeah.
What can I do
What can I do?
about that?
Yeah.
And you know what, Mina? Customer service happens every day, even for you who's not client-facing. So it
Absolutely.
goes back to each and every one of us, learning who we are,
Mhm.
what are our personalities,
Yeah.
what are the strengths and weaknesses in it.
Mhm.
Now, strengthen your weaknesses so
Mm.
that you are able to grow as an all-rounded person.
Wow. So I think what I'm hearing from your end, it's sort of like a personal SWOT analysis. Check on
Yes.
your strengths,
Yes.
check on your weaknesses, and then work on those particular areas.
Yes.
I love that. So you need to do that, by the way. What about when recruiting? Let's talk about, because most businesses sometimes, it's sort of one person kind of thing. And a lot of it is even in recruiting. How would you then advise, and I know sometimes I'm broadening this scope to you, how would you advise people to identify what I would call correct talent? Because sometimes you can bring someone with that attitude, with that, let's call it, with that weakness.
Mm.
And you will end up investing a lot in trying to train them and all that, and yet probably could have picked right. And that person just comes and is exceeding expectations. That's what we want. Is there a secret in picking right?
What I have witnessed, even from my experience,
Yes.
is human beings are, sometimes they may not project exactly who they are.
So in an interview, you might think,
You might think you have the best, but then when you get into the job itself, you realize there's a gap. Now,
my.
passion.
Yes.
When you're interviewing the person and, you try, as you're assessing, as you're evaluating and see the kind of passion that they have in relation to the job that you're interviewing, whether it's customer service or whatever else. So
Yeah.
passion is very key when you're trying to assess that.
Mhm.
But I am going back to what I said before. You may never know exactly until you get there. So competence, you'll check. Qualifications, tick.
Okay.
They have what you're looking in terms of the training, the experience, perhaps, technical ability and all that. But attitude and behaviors is something that is an ongoing process.
Mhm.
Yes, you will also check on the passion, but again, you need to continually keep improving this person. So learning and development is a continuous process.
Wow.
It has to happen over and over again.
You're right. You're right. And even as we come to the tail end of this conversation, I know there could be a lot to speak about this. I am thinking about the part of marketing as well. Now moving and sort of changing angle. Marketing is also very critical, and I know sometimes you speak about it, and I know this could be a whole week conversation, but I just wanted a quick summary from you. Are there key things that a business person, especially on the scale of SMEs and MSMEs, should be thinking about when it comes to marketing? Because some people have the mindset of, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of work, because they've been intimidated by big brands sometimes. But from a starting point, thinking of an SME, an MSME, what are some things they need to think about? One or two maybe. I know there could be 65, or maybe, I don't know, I'm just but what are your top mind thinking of, some things to think about when marketing?
Good question. Yes, marketing can take different forms and different strategies.
I know.
Now, we are saying that customer service has become the new marketing.
Yes.
Why are we saying that?
Wow. No, pause there. I like emphasizing on people. Customer service, which you have spoken about for the last 20 minutes, has become the new marketing.
Yes.
I love that.
Why am I saying this?
Yes.
Because when one customer is happy,
Mm.
they will become your brand ambassadors.
Absolutely.
I'm now speaking to maybe somebody who feels like marketing, you have to have a lot of resources to be able to do great marketing.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be that way.
Mm.
Build on excellent service, and your customers will become your marketing ambassadors.
Wow.
We say that it takes 4 to 10 times. It's harder 4 to 10 times
Mhm.
to acquire a new customer.
Yeah.
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 So once you build on the ones that you have, they make things easy for you.
Wow.
Build on that. Now, marketing, you need to understand your product.
Mm.
Now we are going now to, the key tenets of marketing.
Yeah.
So you say there's a product.
Mhm.
What is it are you offering out there? What needs are you meeting?
Mm.
Are you meeting your own needs, or are you meeting the needs of the customer? So when you're doing your marketing strategy, that has to be clear. The why of why you're doing the marketing.
Wow.
So the product, the features, and everything else in the product or the service, is this something that the customers want to consume? Is it as per their pain points, or are you fulfilling your own business needs? Number 2, the pricing.
Yeah.
You need to be able to price in a way that your customers will be able to take up the product or the service. And
Yeah.
pricing can take different forms,
Mhm.
depending, there's the high-end, average, and the low-end. It all depends on the demographics of your customers.
Yeah.
Then there's the promotion. How do you do your promotion? Now, you've already understood your customers, you've understood where they are and their demographics. Then use the right channels to be able to reach your customers.
Okay.
Because if you use the channels where your customers are not accessible, then you realize like your marketing initiatives are not really are not effective, and you'll keep putting in resources in and out, and yet you'll not be able to see the results.
Wow.
And then number 4, where are you placed?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you? Are you able to, remember we said that for a good business, when you're evaluating the metrics and the drivers of good customer service, is that the customer is able to easily and conveniently access you.
Yeah.
So where are you placed? Is it in the social media?
Mm-hmm.
Are you an e-commerce business? Are you in the brick and mortar that people have to walk in, the traditional way of accessing the business, whichever. Let it be in line with your customer needs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So every time think, what are your customer needs? Is it in line with it?
Yeah.
I have a question from one of the audience that is
Yes.
watching. And Zeli Anna, thanks for the question. Could you comment on meeting the customer's needs at the expense of one's employees, though?
Say that again.
I know it's an interesting question. Could you comment on meeting customers' needs at the expense of one's employees? So I think I'm trying to get what they are asking. I think it's a question of sometimes you're torn between meeting the customer needs, and sometimes it goes at the expense of a person's employees. Maybe I'm trying to create a scenario, and thanks for the question, Zeli. We're trying to digest it so we can see. I don't know what you're picking from that. Commenting on meeting customers' needs at the expense of one's employees. Is it sometimes customers could ask too much, and then employees have to work extra hard for that? That's what I'm thinking, because for employees to feel disadvantaged, at the expense of employees, that means they have to do extra to meet this particular customer need. I don't know. Or maybe working late hours, maybe for the employees to satisfy these customers. I don't know what you have to say about that. Maybe it's a balanced question they are asking.
Yes, and thank you for the question from the listener.
Yeah.
So I think employee experience or employee engagement and customer engagement have to go together.
Yeah.
They have to be aligned.
Yeah.
Why? Because the employees need to understand the place of the customer,
Yeah.
so that they are able to effectively discharge their duties, so that they're able to meet the needs of the customers. Now, what are we saying? Sometimes that the customer may be demanding more than the employee can offer. But have you equipped your employees with such autonomy in decision making that you've enabled them to be able to make decisions whether you are there as a business owner or not, so that they are able to meet that need that the customer has right there.
Yeah.
So empower your employees such that they have the autonomy to make the decision to be able to meet that need of the customer. Even where you have a customer who is really demanding, what we call, they have very high demands from the employees. Let these employees be so grounded that they are well equipped in product knowledge and decision making, and you have a shared values with them, and they're able to make decisions even when maybe the employer is not available to do
Wow. I think that's quite fair enough. There's a place of ensuring that you have empowered your people to really even stand in for you in a way, so that you don't feel disadvantaged. But we must agree there, we have some irate customers, right? People who will always be pessimists. Even when things are good, they will always find something off. And you wonder, when will you ever see the good things of things? And I think, how do you deal with that? How do you advise an employer or a business owner who sometimes is hit by these things? Because there are people who, the moment one negative thing hits them, they feel discouraged. What's your top mind? Because when you're dealing with customers, definitely you have to be prepared for this. What's your advice for such?
Right. I think I will use my own example because I have been in this journey.
Yes.
I have been front-facing. I have grown through that process. And the place of emotional intelligence is very key.
Emotional intelligence.
How do you regulate your emotions? Remember, this is a job, and the client doesn't care what you're going through, whether you're going through issues at home, with employee, personal issues, no. They are expecting that even when they rant at you, you'll be able to manage yourself.
Yeah.
So it comes back to you. How do you regulate your own emotions? Emotional intelligence is about the place of self-awareness. It's about the place of emotional regulation and the place of empathy. So now going back, calling yourself back and zoning back to yourself and saying, wait a minute, this is a customer, this is a temporal situation, I need to step back, recollect myself and serve this customer, even as much as they're throwing all the words or tantrums on you. You have to go back to you and manage you. After the customer is gone, you can now step aside and be able and do whatever activities that you can do to de-escalate that emotional whatever that is going on in you.
Wow.
I remember there's a client that had really pushed me to the corner, demanding that they had to get a service that we were not being able to offer at that particular time. And they were very abusive, used very bad words. And some point, as a human being, I was feeling it's getting out of hand. I'm also now getting very annoyed about it. But then I realized, you know what? I cannot, we can't have that conversation of, throwing words at each other. And I did exactly that, took a step back and listened to what the client is saying. Because sometimes they just want to hear, to see that you are listening with them. So that you understand their needs and not to be reactive. So listen to what they were saying, even as I was boiling up inside emotionally, and then responded to them, and they were able to understand where we were coming from. So be responsive and not reactive when dealing with customers.
Because there are people can get into your nerves.
They can. But you always have to remember, be responsive and not reactive.
Okay. Someone is asking, how do you stay up to date with changes in the industry and adapt to new customer needs?
Yes, customer needs are changing every day. The customer of today is very demanding. Why? Because they are very aware of themselves. technology has brought in a lot of changes.
Mhm.
So they already know even before they tell them about your product or service. They've gone online, they're tech savvy, they've gone and read about the company, they have questions ready for you.
Mhm.
So you always have to be ahead
Mhm.
of the customer
Mhm.
by anticipating
Yeah.
the questions that they may ask you.
Wow.
So stay alert, stay ahead of the customer.
Yeah.
Remember, the customer of today is value-based, experience-based, and very tech-savvy.
Wow. There's one more question from George. I think this is a good one. How do you build rapport with customers and establish trust? And I think this is everything.
Yes, trust. Trust is everything. How do you build trust? I think this is what you have also been speaking about
Absolutely.
the whole of this week,
Yeah.
which is one of the ways of enhancing and promoting professionalism and
Mm.
excellence.
Mhm.
So building trust goes with the connection that you get with the client, the relationship, consistency, and reliability.
Yeah.
Once you're able to be consistent with the services that you offer,
Yeah.
you'll definitely be able to have that connection and build the relationship
Yeah.
with your customer.
Yeah.
Because you cannot be saying this thing today, tomorrow you've shifted your goal. So consistency is key, empathy is key, and again, communication is also key.
Okay. Love that. I don't know what you're going to do because I have two more questions. So we're going to shoot straight answers like in 60 seconds. All right. So how do you handle situations where you have to deliver bad news to a customer? That's really
Wow. All right. Bad news will always be there with us. Good and bad things will always happen in life.
Yeah.
So again, it depends with the language. It is the language that you use to be able to convey the bad news to the customer. So language is key, the timing is key, and the environment where you are communicating, and the channel, again,
Okay.
you're using. Because you see, you may be using a digital channel.
Okay.
Language being top of it most.
Wow. Love that. So then how do you handle a customer who is trying to negotiate a refund or discount? I think that's when some of the conversations become very hard. But in a Kenyan culture, we like discounts. I don't know, I'm trying to get into your question, but hey, how do you handle that? I think refunds are the ones that are quite painful.
Sometimes you may look at go back to what does the policy say. Are you able to bend it? If you're not able to bend it and make a decision about it, you need to make the customer understand why we cannot be able to give the refund or we can't give the discount to it. So you
Okay.
need to communicate that in a way that the customer will understand it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely. I hope you got your answer. Finally, how do you ensure that your customers feel valued and appreciated?
And that is the key of it.
Yes, that's the key of it.
Yes, it's about building that trust.
Yeah.
Once you build that trust, they'll always feel that I am valued and I am appreciated in the business. So it's the connection with the client, meeting their needs and making them believe that they have already built that trust with the client.
Pauline, that has been an amazing 45 minutes of conversations on purely customer service, a little bit on marketing. We didn't even touch on leadership, so that means you have to come back again and we talk about that.
All right, I'll be back.
Thank you so much for that session, and thank you so much for your questions. Sorry I couldn't take all of them, but thanks a lot for the discussion. That was quite insightful, and much appreciation to Pauline. And as I told you, we're at the sidelines of the CIFA conference. This is the 6th annual conference, and I told Pauline, please get us a few minutes to do that. So thanks so much for your time, and that's it for Biz Talk